Hi, my name is Butch Alexa, and I'm going to walk through this Lean Office Kaizen that we did at an order processing department. It was a transactional Kaizen. The first thing we did, of course, during this Kaizen was we did a 5S of the area. You can see the before and you can see the after. Everything was much more organized, much simplified. Then we developed a new process based on the old process. We took the waste out and we tested it with a temporary setup. As you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, we tested it with a temporary setup, and then we ordered furniture so that we could move into a one-piece flow instead of the batch that we were running. The team's mandate: every Kaizen should have a mandate, whether it's transactional or a manufacturing. And in the mandate, it says who's going to do what, when, and what the deliverables will be. So what we did with the vital process change elements, we took the patient product agreement form and redesigned it, making it simpler, easier to use. The reps we found that were providing the forms, we established how to provide clean forms, and we made it automated with a pokey yoke design. We did the outsourcing of the form count, meaning as the forms came into the organization, they were sent to one place and were counted the day before they were actually processed, so that we could get a total and establish a tack time based on that total. We reprogrammed the restock and billing screens, which sent the order to the floor for production and to billing to bill. We also looked at standardizing the process and procedures. We established tack time. We put a scoreboard or an and-on board that was installed. We built about 6 scanners, 1 high-speed printer, 1 dedicated fax machine, and desktop copiers for each area. The tack time was developed based on the amount of forms and the time available, standard tack time formula. If we had 300 forms that we had to process in a day, that means we'd have 90 seconds per form to move throughout the process, and each operation has to be less than 90 seconds. Or if we had 700 forms, each operation within the process had to be less than 39 seconds. Excuse me. The current backlog was 1,699 forms, which represented $195,265. Here's our process we use: current state, constraints, future state. The results actually speak for themselves. The lead time for the forms went down 88%. Lead time is one of the things that makes you more responsive to customers and actually reduces your cost. Travel of the form and personnel went down 98%. Floor space went down 57%, which means you can get more products being done in a smaller area. Transaction costs went from $14.87 to $10.55, which represented a $4.32 improvement per form. Productivity went up 40%. We use certain Lean Sigma metrics that should always be used. What happens to organizations is they measure everything, but don't realize they're measuring things they don't have to measure, or they put emphasis on the wrong things. Lean measurables that actually do count: total order cycle time, order entry, on-time delivery, total number of errors. We want to spend less time waiting, less time walking, less entering of data, retrieving files, opening mail processing. We want to do less of those things. Those are the things that should be measured. We accomplished getting scanners for all workstations. We put up a scoreboard which told them exactly how many forms they would have to do, and they populated the process based on the number of people needed to meet the tack time. We had new printers installed. We did tabletop copiers, and we ordered cell furniture so we could create a cell. Some of the accomplishments during our Kaizen for the process was that we established an operating tack time. We redesigned a patient product agreement form, which allowed the reps to go out and follow a checklist that we designed and distributed. All of that was with Poka-yoke in mind. We then looked at the held billing resolution, and we established a team to deal with held billing resolution. Held billing was, we can't bill because we haven't processed the form, but the product has already gone out. Letters to the distributors to accompany held billing report. We want the held billing to be reduced to virtually nothing. So we wanted the distributors to know that because some of their bonuses were based on that. We standardized the process flow for all three regions. There were three regions, the Northeast, Southeast, and the West. We made sure that everybody was doing it the same way so that there was no variation within those processes. The SOPs were designed and implemented with this in mind. We had one cell layout for all three regions. We had one cell in each region, but it was the same cell layout in all three. This is a result of our 5S transactional Kaizen. You can see the number of forms that we processed based on the cost savings and increased forms and how much that was worth to the organization based on $100 per form average, meaning each form represented $100 in revenue. So you can see the improvement measures here again. The savings overall was we saved 15 miles per year per person. If you saw how far they had to walk to make copies and faxes, you would understand 15 miles per year per person. Total non-value added, total waste. We reduced the wait time in a process to 0 since we went from batches to a one-piece flow. We were able to do 2,500 forms per week, which the process backlog handled 2,000 to 3,000 forms per month. So we were reducing the process backlog as we were doing the current forms. The transaction cost, of course, was reduced, meaning that we're saving money. So we're saving $10,800 per week based on 2,500 forms, and that's over $500,000 a year. Reduced the processing time by 5 days per month. We get an additional 2,250 forms on average, $100 a form. That's a $2.5 or $2.7 million a year added revenue. 1,400 forms processed by all districts per day. Half the forms were under $50. That meant that we're now getting that $50 market was given away before because we couldn't process the forms in time, but we would send out the product. So we got the forms to be able to be processed faster, easier, and more correctly, so we could capture that $50 market, which led back to almost $9 million a year. Total savings, $12.2 million per year. Man, that felt good. Now, the Office 5S portion, we went before. You can see in the upper left-hand corner, we did a before, and then we did a 5S where we cleaned and organized, but it was still a silo mentality. So we designed a cellular approach, meaning one piece flow per form, and it was from one person to the next within a new design, and that's what this looked like. The order forms would get processed through each of these operations very simply and very quickly.